A lizard projecting blood from its eyes, a frog with its claws out, or a fish flying in the air. Make yourself comfortable. Here is how these 10 exceptional living beings do to survive danger. We promise you, it's unheard of. It is, among many others, a very effective and perfectly archaic survival strategy that some animals sometimes adopt to escape danger, and which consists in immobilizing themselves while simulating death. The hunted animal pretends to be dead, as the ultimate resource, when the predator leaves it no escape route. The opossum masters this technique perfectly and is the best at this little game. If he finds himself confronted with a predator, this marsupial mammal of America simulates death with incredible realism. It becomes lethargic in order to slow down its heartbeat and breathing movements, its limbs stiffen to simulate rigor mortis, its eyes become glassy, and it even lets its tongue hang down. And to make the scene even more convincing, the possum releases a foul-smelling liquid that mimics the smell of putrefaction, making the enemy believe he is long dead. Disgusted by the look and smell of the opossum, the predator moves on. When an animal is confronted with a predator, several strategies are possible: flight, confrontation, deterrence, or camouflage. The Venezuelan pebble toad does something completely different. When it encounters a tarantula or another predator, it does not think, it bends its four limbs under its body, takes a ball position, and throws itself, letting itself fall down the slope, to give the impression to its enemy that it is a pebble. The little creature then bounces off the rocks like a rubber ball. If it is lucky, this amphibian ends up in a crack or crevice where it is out of sight or hard to reach, its black and gray color helping it to blend in with the scenery. But if it's less lucky, it lands in a deep puddle and dies, since the pebble toad is a poor swimmer. It's winter and in Alaska, it's unbearably cold. So, to resist it, the wood frog has developed its own technique that we humans would have liked so much to have too. There, in winter, wood frogs are immobile in the frozen ground. Frozen, these amphibians will however come back to life without difficulty once the beautiful days return. Their secret is that wood frogs survive temperatures as low as -16 degrees by freezing 2/3 of the water in their bodies, while those in the central United States cannot adapt to such conditions. To get through the cold season, this 5 to 7 centimeters long amphibian buries itself and literally freezes itself, until all its vital functions, including respiration and blood circulation, are suspended. Their blood therefore hardly circulates anymore, but it is loaded with glucose, a sugar that acts as a cryoprotective agent, thus avoiding the degradation of the cells when the water crystallizes and, upon thawing, when these crystals melt. So, as soon as winter arrives in Alaska, the wood frog does not panic, it keeps its head cold, makes its small stock of glucose in the liver, and lets itself freeze. With no lateral fins, an elongated body, supple like that of an eel, and a mouth without jaws but decorated with several rows of teeth, hagfish are one of the anguilliform aquatic animals, which are characterized by the fact that they have no vertebrae. These scavenging animals of the seabed twist to tear their food. But then, if they don't have vertebrae, it means that they can't defend themselves if they are attacked, right? Well, don't be mistaken, because hagfish have a unique defense characteristic. Hagfish may look like an innocent eel, but this 300-million-year-old fish has survived this long thanks to an unstoppable self-defense mechanism. Hagfish do not have scales, jaws, venom, or a spine, yet they are able to suffocate their enemies in just a few seconds, thanks to vesicles along their body that release a kind of asphyxiating gel. It is capable of drooling on a predator in less than half a second. When the hagfish is titillated, its skin glands release mucus proteins called mucins. These, on contact with water, immediately turn into a thick sticky mucus that prevents predators from swallowing it or even helps it to trap prey. Who says you shouldn't be afraid of someone smaller than yourself? In the lowlands of Mexico and Central America, certain tree species are becoming rare and can be the target of herbivorous animals with a high appetite. Among them, the acacia, which is much more intelligent than we think. Yes, I know we are talking about a tree. Of course, trees are vulnerable. They can neither flee nor defend themselves, but the acacia seems to have more than one trick up its sleeve. This tree knows its environment and knows that elephants and other predators are scared to death of ants, which is why it has decided to make them its greatest allies. Indeed, the acacia and a species of ant called Pseudomyrmex ferruginea help each other to survive. This is called a mutualistic relationship, where two or more different species work together to provide what the other needs. The ant aggressively defends the acacia against herbivorous insects, neighboring plants, pathogenic microorganisms, and elephants, and in return, the acacia provides the ant with plenty of food and a place to live and raise its young. Exchange of good practices. To be more precise, the acacia has hard, hollow, and very sharp spines, in which ants lay their larvae and install their colonies. They live there and feed on sap, sweet nectar, and tiny nodules rich in proteins and lipids secreted by the leaves. In addition, the thorns are waterproof and retain moisture, which protects the eggs and larvae during periods of drought. Their sharp points, therefore, prevent birds from attacking the eggs. Ants, on the other hand, are fast and agile and run around the tree to defend it against plant eaters such as insects and larger animals such as rodents, or to deter elephants from turning away from the tree, as they are so afraid of ant bites. And that's not all, ants also defend acacia's territory when another plant starts to be a little too invasive. The ant then sends out an odor alarm that causes other ants to attack it. They kill all foreign plants, and any vegetation growing around the base of the tree. The acacia will not have to compete for soil nutrients, water, and sunlight with other trees. The title of Queen of Camouflage can only be awarded to the cuttlefish. Being able to change color, pattern, and texture according to the surface on which it is found, in order to blend into its environment in less than a second, the cuttlefish effectively escapes all its predators, however powerful their visual systems may be. But the most incredible thing about cuttlefish is that they are unable to perceive colors. However, it is able to change color to adapt to the tones of the seafloor in which it is found. We speak in this case of mimicry by homochromy, a phenomenon allowed by dilation or contraction of chromatophores, cells filled with pigments of different colors. This mimicry is so effective and so elaborate that it can perfectly marry certain patterns such as the reflections of the waves by making the colors blink, and even allow changes in the texture of his skin, which can become covered with thorns or become completely smooth again. And what is even more amazing is that these changes are made by reflex and in record time, a few tenths of a second, thanks to hormonal and nervous actions. Behind its vulnerable and inoffensive small animal appearance, the slow loris has the means to defend itself and get you down on the ground in no time. It is believed to be the only primate currently known to produce venom. Its bite is not enough to kill a man unless it causes an allergic reaction, but believe me, it is still extremely painful. The venom is produced by glands located under the elbows of the animal. If attacked or if it wishes to bite prey, this little monster lifts its legs and licks the glands under its armpits, adding to its saliva a rich array of toxic compounds that can turn a tiny cut into a hole of rotting dead flesh. Adult slow lorises can also coat their young with this venom to protect them from predators. All they have to do is lick them. Who would have thought that a beetle could also hide a secret defense weapon when it can't even turn around when it's on its back? In fact, to be more exact, this is not just any beetle, we are talking about the bomber beetle. This insect of the Carabedian family has the ability to hurl a boiling corrosive liquid noisily at its predators. The ingredients of this explosive cocktail are preserved in its abdomen, divided into two cavities. The first is called the tank. It contains chemical reagents, and the second, the explosion chamber, contains a mixture of enzymes. Thus, when a bomber beetle is attacked, a valve opens between the two chambers, and a mixture is immediately created between the two substances, creating an instant chemical reaction, temperature and pressure increase, causing an explosion. A corrosive spray at over 100 degrees Celsius is then propelled out of its body towards its predator. To be effective, it can repeat the action several times a second. Can you imagine? Beware, you will hallucinate. The frog that you see there has the particularity to be hairy and to have a weapon of defense out of the common run. When it feels in danger, the Trichobatrachus robustus actively breaks its own bones to produce claws that pierce its suckers and become weapons of defense. At rest, the frog's claws, only present on its hind feet, are nestled inside a mass of connective tissue. But when the animal is attacked, it contracts its muscle, which pulls the claws down. The sharp point then detaches itself from the bony tip and comes out through the toe pad, leading to the underside. The final result could look like a feline claw, but the breaking and cutting mechanism is very different and unique in these frogs. What is even more incredible with this phenomenon is that the claw is only bony and has no external keratin coating as in other animals. Did you know that there are fish that can fly? Flying fish are a unique species of fish found in most oceans. They tend to roam in warm tropical and subtropical waters. What is interesting about this species of fish is that they can jump over the ocean surface and fly a long distance. It is therefore this technique that allows them to escape from predators. And to increase their chances of survival, these flying fish with rigid wing-shaped fins and irregularly forked tails tend to move in groups. Some flying fish can glide over the ocean for a distance of 400 meters at a speed of about 16 kilometers per hour. Unbelievable, isn't it? Phrynosoma cornutum, also known as the horned toad or horned lizard, is a lizard species that lives in the arid zones from southern Canada to Guatemala, an environment where predators are numerous and survival is a constant war. So, to escape from wolves, dogs, or coyotes, the horned lizard uses 3 defense techniques, one of which is quite particular. Like the pufferfish, the horned toad can double in size when it feels in danger and thus looks more imposing, but if this first technique does not deter its predator, it will then bend its head forward and threaten its opponent with the kinds of needles that adorn its body and head. Still not enough? The reptile will then pull out its fatal weapon, a toxic jet of blood that it spurts out of its eye and shoots with precision up to 1.5 meters in the direction of its enemy. The unpleasant taste of its blood deters its predator, which runs away again. Sometimes, it happens that the lizard uses this weapon several times in a short period and that it empties itself of a third of its blood. Predators will probably think twice before attacking this little lizard. So, surprised? Did you know that there were such incredible methods of camouflage and defense? Which of these living things surprised you the most? Give us your opinion in the comments.